Hi, I'm Lindsay Whitman-Drews, and I'm an author and writer. It was about a year ago that I even found Solera on the internet. And we were in a group together, and she commented on something. And so I started to look at all of her stuff, and I started with reading her books. I went through every book, read one chapter a day, like it says to do. And I feel like, I've been on this kind of transformative journey for a long time, but it really was changing the way that I saw everything in life. So it changed the way I felt. I could feel the positive vibration coming through. It changed how I saw everything in life. And so I was like, well, I really have to work with Solera. So from that, then I bought one of the courses and just was like eating up everything that you were writing on the internet. And then you had the Council of Multimillionaires. And I was at this point where I was turning 37, and I just felt like I had worked really hard on everything in life and didn't really get to where I wanted to be. So at 37, I was like, well, I feel like I'm running out of time. And I was telling my husband that I just can't waste any more time kind of doing this and doing that. And I want the shortcut. I want to hear what the guides have to say. And so I joined the Council of Multimillionaires, and I feel like it's been probably like 9 months now since that started. It's like night and day in who I am and how I present and how I work and what I'm doing. I was doing a little bit of like writing on the side, and I had books that I was sending to publishers and hoping to get published. And within, that have been like a few months, 3 months of working with that, I had 2 of my books with publishers and under contract, and another one that I decided to self-publish because the guide said, I don't have to wait. I don't have to wait for permission. And it was like, again, my whole world changed. So I changed the way I was dressing. I changed my makeup. I kind of changed how I was presenting because I had this bigger picture of where I was going. The guides said that I was acting like a wedding singer and I needed to act like a pop star. And that was really true. I was playing it so small, so small. And that's kind of always the message, that my goals are too little. I want it to be like kind of small and easy because I wanted to make sure that I could do it. And I didn't want to have these huge, enormous goals and then not be able to do it. But with the guides, it's like, they're like your cheering section, and they're also like your coach and like pushing you along, keeping you going, reminding you that you're not alone and that you came here for something bigger. And so with the Council of Multimillionaires, then I started to also learn how to channel with Solera's channeling course. And so I channel my writing now. I channel the voice of my clients' future selves, like how they really want to present themselves and present their products. I channel books. I channel my own personal guidance all the time. It's been amazing. Life-changing, eye-opening. I'm so glad I did it. I would not be where I am right now if I would have just kept doing what I was doing. I needed to see that opening and kind of get the bigger picture.
Yeah. And how do you feel like internally in terms of like your own personal growth, going through this metamorphosis, right?
Yeah. I feel really at peace, and I don't feel like the clock is ticking anymore. And it's an amazing feeling to know, well, really there is no time. And so you're just like centered right here in this moment. And you don't actually have to go anywhere. There is no there to get. There is no me to become, because I am that person. I am just here and now and everywhere and all times at the same time. And so to know that just puts everything in perspective. Like I was feeling late for preschool or something I was taking my daughter to. And then I could see it from the perspective of the guides. And I was like a little ant running around like a crazy person. Like, well, what am I doing? There is nothing to really be late for. If we end up in this like 3D, a few minutes late to preschool, it is okay. Everything is okay. So there is just this like underlying peace and deeper understanding and bigger picture to everything.
That's really extraordinary, because I think one of the things that is really hard for people is not think about the future, right? And we always want to feel like, oh, I gotta hurry up, I gotta get there, right? But the guys are always like, no, you're learning how to become your future self by being who you are right here in this moment. And that's very accurate. Mm-hmm. And how do you feel in terms of like, doing the program with other people?
Yeah, I think that was really powerful. So at first I was like, oh no, I don't want anybody else to know my stuff. And I don't even want to say anything in the group chat. And I think that was part of the whole thing too. Honestly, I think we all came here at the same time, like we had all agreed to it. And so when we came into that group at the same time, we were just remembering each other. And so how much I have learned from the other people in the group is incredible. And actually one person I'm going to go to Paris and meet this summer from the Council of Multimillionaires. So, and then somebody else we met up in Chicago too. And so it's been a really cool remembering of these friends that we came here together for that reason. And we work together in different ways. One I've gotten legal advice from, one I do writing for. So it's like a collective, it's a sisterhood.
Oh, I really like that. Yeah, because sometimes people are always worried, like, oh, am I going to get enough attention, by being in the group? But actually there's so much value because you're learning with like your classmates, right?
Yeah. And it was always like everyone's question resonated, like it was directly applicable to my life. And I know other people said the same thing. So it wasn't like, oh, I don't get, one-on-one time with Solera. It's like, oh yeah, there's that aspect. And oh, there's this thing happening here. And yeah, it made it a much richer experience, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think your transformation was so dramatic because like you went from coming to the guides, and I remember you, it's almost like you were like a little flower, right? Like that's like about to blossom, but that's like not ready to blossom. But now I feel like you're like this big orchid,
Well, thank you. People just in like my everyday life, they come up to me or they come up to my husband and they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I see these pictures of you and they're like, what's happened? Like, kind of like, I need to touch you. I need you to come and tell me and give me your energy and what has gone on with you.
Well, it's so amazing because I think the way to tell is sometimes just by seeing people's reaction of you.
Yeah.
And you have changed so much, like even how you look, it's funny how the guys often would give people like makeover advice, but the physical appearance is actually really important because it's also how you see yourself too,
Well, and that's part of it too. So lipstick wearing was something that started, and I was not a lipstick wearer, and I felt so uncomfortable at first, and it was showing me all of these like visibility issues, femininity issues. And now I wear lipstick almost every day. And it's like, it's not about me anymore. It's a calling card, like to remember you're feminine, and it like calls out to people and sends messages to them. And it really does. And then people will comment on it and I'll be like, oh yeah, you should try wearing lipstick every day. It's transformative. And in these funny lipstick conversations, which it seems like really surface level, but it is. It's like, don't you remember? You remember you have this divine feminine in you, and we've hidden it. We've played how we had to in a masculine world. In like the 90s and the 2000s, the women coming up and wearing the business suits and kind of forming themselves into a man's world. Now it's okay. Come out and be as feminine as you want. and call to the other goddesses to remember too at the same time.
And it is like your calling card because people remember you and it's beautiful. And people are attracted to people who take care of themselves. You know, it's also like an internal energy as well as like an external energy that you're projecting, you know?
Yeah.
It's so amazing. I mean, I'm just so happy to see you change, grow, and develop. Like your channeling ability is just like crazy now. Like,
It
right?
is. It's surprising. It's always surprising to me. There's always like new levels of it too.
Yeah, like what are some of the things that are the most memorable like for you in terms of channeling, like channeling ability that you've developed?
Um, so lots of stuff. So I get all of these messages, and part of it is too that I think I was pretty open all along, like as a kid. But I never thought that I really had that ability. But now that I recognize it, I was reading people's like thoughts and emotions in childhood, which is really kind of hard to do because you take on everybody else's thoughts and emotions. So I've had like an uncle after he passed away came back with a message for his kids. I've had this was a really weird one. Just like a direct knowing about a friend's family history that was a really painful thing. And like, I just suddenly knew it and could see all of it. And actually helped to heal some parts of that within the family because, I just, I just kind of mentioned something, like, I don't know. And it was really kind of a weird thing. And it turned into a really beautiful, like healing type of thing. What other things? I mean, I am now seeing like, how thought patterns throughout thousands of years are influencing us, where instead of before I was thinking it was just like a generational thing, now I can see like layer upon layer upon layer of how deeply programmed we are in this human experience, and how many layers of letting go there is, kind of from like we're kind of carrying this from across time, these ideas, and where powers were making people believe different things to control them. I'm trying to think of other things.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's so amazing that you're able to do that. And plus now it's like now you have this ability to both like help yourself, but also help other people. I mean, that's so
yeah. Here's one. This was not from, it was after I started with your books and opening up to all of this. My 6-year-old son, and it's been over a year now. He was 6 at the time. He had it seemed like a stomach bug what he had, and he was getting a headache too. So he threw up. Then he was kind of better, and then he started throwing up more. And it all just seemed like regular stomach bug sort of stuff. But I was totally drawn to read a certain book. And in the book, the character had a brain tumor and was turned away at the emergency room when they went in. They're like, no, you're fine. And so I finished this book. So he got sick on a Thursday. I finished the book on a Sunday, going into Sunday, midnight. And I said, a few hours later, I said, I'm taking him to the emergency room, and not the closest one, like in a bigger city. My husband said, why are you taking him that far? It was icy out. And I said, it's either a stomach bug and it's nothing, or it's like a brain tumor. And I have to take him somewhere that will scan his brain. And so I took him. It's icy. He's crying. He's sick the whole time. And I'm like second guessing myself, like, what am I doing? We get there, and the doctor we get, I describe what's happening, and I don't even say anything about scanning his head. He looks kind of nervous, and he's like, I think we're going to just run a panel, see if it's a virus or whatever. And I think we should scan his head too. And I was like, yeah, I think you should. And they ended up finding a mass. So at that point, they didn't know what it was. It was very big. And I mean, they're telling me he could die in like minutes. It could shut down his heart. So they take him to a bigger hospital. We find out it's a brain abscess and not a tumor. And so he had to have 2 surgeries for it and drain it. But those are fatal. So left untreated, they burst, or, they shut down your heart, they shut down your lungs. And so with being open to all of this extra stuff, it was the whole time, it was like I sort of knew this was going to happen, and got him help much faster than, when by the time he's unconscious on the floor or whatever. So that was a really huge way that being open to all of this has changed a lot.
You saved his life.
Yeah. Yeah, it really did.
You're going to tell him when he grows up to be a teenager. You see, you should always listen to your mom.
Yeah. Well, he's heard me tell the story, because the doctors were like, how'd you even know? How'd you even know to bring him? And I was like, I was really called to read this book, and I just finished it at midnight. And so I brought him in. And so then Sunday at 8 p.m., he was in surgery. It was that fast. Yeah.
And he's okay now.
Yeah. And he's okay. And it kind of then, so he had the one surgery, and he seemed fine. And in between, he'd be like, oh, my head kind of hurts, just once a day. And I was like sounding the alarm and calling his doctors and saying, he's saying his head hurts. I know he's not throwing up. He's not in as much pain as before, but you got to look at it. You got to look at it. You got to look at it. We went back. It was twice as big. Twice as big. And so we had to, he had another surgery the following day and drained it, and drained twice as much.
Wow. That is so
cool. Yeah. So then twice. So twice I kind of am like getting the message and sounding the alarm that something's going on. I just feel so lucky that I was guided to do that.
I am so happy you were guided too. Makes my heart jump,
Yeah.
Wow, extraordinary.
I know. And I look back to when I was discussing with my husband if I should do the Council of Multimillionaires, and I'm like, I'm telling you, I've got to do it. There's just kind of no 2 ways about it. I've just got to do it. And he's just like, oh, okay, whatever. And now we kind of look back at it and laugh like, wow, well, it's been a bit of a change here.
And so your husband is happy now?
Yeah, he is. And he's so happy. And it's, I feel like our relationship has changed too. And there's just more joy and ease with it.
Yeah. I'm so excited that you are now in the Wealth Codes program. We're continuing, to expand and everything. It's going to be amazing. You just wait and see.
It already has been. After each activation, it's like I sleep for 2 hours, and I get all of these crazy visions. Like, oh man, yeah, I need the 2 weeks in between to recover and adjust.
Yeah. And it's only going to expand. It really will. The activation only expand and multiply. So I'm really happy that you're doing it, with me and with Isis. So lots of good stuff is coming.
Yeah, I'm excited.